Yeah, I'm Matt Redding. We've got a little team here, very good little team. Our role in the Pilot to Paddock project is largely about improving what we can do with the waste materials from particular intensive livestock industries. And I'm here to tell you that the idea that somehow these materials are second-class fertilizers is utterly wrong. So our task within this project is about making advanced fertilizers out of the waste materials from these intensive livestock industries. We're trying to decrease greenhouse gas emissions. We're trying to increase nutrient use efficiency for the plants that use these materials. We're trying to increase carbon in soil. And the other thing we're doing is replacing conventional high embodied emission fertilizers like urea with materials that have no embodied emissions. And in fact, that's a major achievement if you can do that. The production of 1 tonne of urea N produces 10 tonnes of carbon dioxide carbon. The potential for using waste materials is enormous and the benefits are enormous, especially if you can make them better than conventional fertilizers. We do studies that range from process studies out to field trials and enterprise scale research, working in the laboratory to understand what's actually happening at the microbial and the isotopic level in the materials, and using that to determine what the best treatments and formulations are to formulate fertilizers. And then we'll take those on to studies in a growth accelerator where we can test out and find the best bets to take to our field trials. So we use a range of sort of advanced techniques, online real-time gas emissions analysis, gas isotope analysis, extractions of microbial carbon from the soils, and then isotopic analysis of that. The key to providing plants with the nutrients that they need in an efficient way is about first providing and feeding your soil microbial life. Basically utilizing millions of years of evolution, you can actually provide the nutrients to the plants in a highly efficient way. When we're able to remove the risk of leaching losses of nitrogen, for example, we're able to produce much more efficiency and uptake of nitrogen into the plants. By adjusting the carbon to nitrogen ratios of the fertilizers that we formulate from these waste materials, we can decrease our losses in forms like leaching and gaseous emissions into the air, nitrous oxide losses, and also ammonia volatilization, particularly if we incorporate things like nitrification inhibitors in our formulations, that you can make a value-added product out of waste materials that actually is able to defeat conventional fertilizers in many of the metrics that you might be interested in. The inefficiency of modern fertilizers is actually related to the fact that carbon and nitrogen cycles in soil environments have become somewhat divorced from each other, because when you add conventional fertilizers to the soil profile, you end up with a highly inefficient uptake because 40 to 60% of it gets lost to the environment. Whereas when you add carbon and nitrogen together and resync those nutrient cycles, that's how you can gain far greater nutrient use efficiency. If you add materials that they like, then you'll end up building up the biomass and you'll retain old soil carbon so that we can have a beneficial effect in terms of carbon in the soils. The advantage of this larger project actually is that we're working with a range of different groups that are using their expertise to produce materials so that we can use our expertise on those materials. They're doing things we don't do, and then we can go and work with things like digestates from dairy digesters from Stephen Tate at USQ, or Johannes Biala's compost materials from University of Queensland. So that's enabled us to take those materials and test them in our range of screening approaches. So this project has provided us with a great opportunity to really understand some of the underlying principles of carbon and nitrogen ratios and the delivery of nitrogen and nutrients to plants and the impact of microbes on that.